What's up everybody, Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new video where we're going to be breaking down the most dominant strategy, period. In fact, this strategy is so powerful that it's most likely going to be getting a nerf in patch 1.08 coming soon. And if you learn how to use this strategy, you could easily go up multiple ranks this competitive act. But if you don't learn how to counter this strategy, you could get farmed again and again and D-rank multiple ranks all the way down to ELO hell. And if you don't want that, you gotta watch this until the end so that doesn't happen to you, or you could tap into the power level of this advanced meta strat. But of course, the Game Leap website is your one-stop shop. If you want to master any of the tips and tricks in this video even more so, or see in-depth VOD reviews of Radiant tier players doing the strats that we're gonna talk about, then definitely go check out the Game Leap website and the links down below. But without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Now, the strategy in question that we're gonna be breaking down is none other than the Jett plus the Operator, which is dominant in pro strategies and in ranked play all over the place. Now, if you're not a Jett player, don't click off, because if you don't learn how to counter this very particular strat, you're gonna get farmed over and over again in all your games, and you're gonna have very little counterplay. So you gotta watch this whether you're a Jett player looking to get some free wins, or if you're anyone else trying to stop this overpowered combo. You've come to the right place. I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know so you can completely understand this strategy that is being used again and again, and basically abused, if I'm being honest. Now, for the example we're gonna show you specifically Bind, and we're gonna show you the map from a top-down view, and I'm gonna write over it with Epic Pen just to kind of show you what Jett players are doing that's so different from the predominant sniper or the predominant opper. So, if you're looking at this map, we're gonna be talking about from the defensive perspective, right? So, from the top of this map to the bottom, you can see all the typical places, and I'm going to point out the places that people would traditionally snipe from. Let's say you're a Cypher, for instance, or a Sova, or whatever character you are. Where are the places that you're going to normally snipe from? Well, let's say that you're sniping, you're holding B and you're sniping B long. You'd be holding right here, right? Let's make this actually a little bit smaller. I'll erase that, but you'd be holding right here, and you'd be looking down this sight line, right? Someone peeks, you shoot them. Pretty obvious, right? So people could potentially set up here, and then when they walk into your line of sight, you would snipe them. Or you could be playing by pillar, right up here on A defense. You could be playing right here. You could be sniping this way. You could be playing right here, sniping this way. Now, these are like the predominant places you could snipe. You could also be sniping from heaven, which heaven you could snipe from here. You could snipe from here. Okay, now these are the places that normal people snipe, right? That is the place. Some people will snipe from back here. They'll snipe to hookah, right? These are the normal places that snipers will be at, and as such, you can make strategies to counteract that. Whether that is set up here as a team, right here, that person right there, you could do tons of things to that person. You could smoke them out so that if they try to push forward, they're too much in danger. You could potentially flash them and then have someone take that angle with another op. You could do all sorts of things. Like, imagine you flash them, they leave here, you take the angle with an op, and if they repeat, you kill them. Whatever the case may be, you have a lot of strategy to take space. If there's someone up here and heaven opping, you could smoke them off and you're not submit to their angle. You could flash this person out so they have to retreat. There's so many different angles, and you can do this because there are specific places where an opper's gonna be, right? An opper is not gonna be everywhere because there's certain places where he's too close to the enemy. If he's too close, he's gonna get just shut down so easily. But Jett actually circumvents that weakness in ops, and let me explain. So you're gonna see someone like Wardell, a really high Jett player, instead of playing near pillar and just sniping right here, of course they could be on top of pillar and they could be on top of truck with updraft, but that's not even what I'm talking about. That's powerful, but that's not overpowered. Raze can do that, Omen can do that, but what Jett can do is Jett can push out this way, and she can push all the way out here and hold this sight line. Now, we talked about the areas that you think are secure. Here would be secure setting up, and it's important that you get into these zones to set up to make a swing play on an opper that is holding right here, right? You flash them, you swing them, you punish them because you get as close as possible to the swing, and then you commit to it, right? But when a Jett can go all the way up here and get this snipe across, right? You're never gonna be playing around this snipe, or at least you wouldn't be typically. But a Jett would do something like that, and the thing that they can do is the second they get that kill, they can instantly dash this way, they can run this way, and all of a sudden now they're back a site with a free numbers advantage. Now, if you're a Jett player, this is something you can abuse all over the place. You could be pushing up here, and you could peek this angle, and a lot of times, enemies will not expect this at all. I promise you, no matter what rank you are. I mean, if you look at Wardell does stuff like this all the time, and it's incredibly powerful. Another thing a Jett could do could be push out all the way out here. They could snipe this way, and they could easily get out with a dash by just dashing that way. They can also do stuff like push out of hookah and snipe this way, where they instantly run out with their knife. They come out here and they snipe this way. They get a free pick off because who in the world peeks out with an op, and then they instantly get out. They could play here, and instead of just peeking this way, the enemy team is set up here, right? Getting ready to make a play. So the Jett, what the Jett would do is the Jett would push out of long, push all the way down here, and peek this sight line. Now there's so much more that Jett can see, and if she gets a kill, she can easily just dash to safety. That is what a Jett can do, and that is why it is so problematic to go up against a Jett that has mastered these strategies, because if you don't think about these, if you don't play around these, you're going to be setting up in these zones that are not really safe. You're going to be slow walking up this zone, you're going to be setting up in this zone, you're going to be potentially slow walking up this zone, or you know, you're going to be setting up over here waiting, and a Jett's going to peek you and then dash away and get that coveted numbers advantage. How are you going to overcome that numbers advantage over and over again, round after round, round after round? And that is the big problem with this strategy, and that's why it's so overpowered. Now, if Jetts are abusing this over and over again, it's very difficult to play around, if I'm being honest. That is why, if a Jett is doing this perfectly, it can feel almost insurmountable. But the best thing that you can do is joint swing a Jett, put a lot of pressure on a Jett, and then realize how far she could peek out. So instead of maybe setting up here, you're setting up here, and you're setting up as a team. So if she peeks out, at the very least, you can try to swing her, try to get that trade-off, or force her tailwind. That can be really important. You also got to be hyper careful of Jetts that are potentially peeking out. And the most important thing is not playing consistently in the same spots over and over again. You got to remember that a Jett will often mix up where she's holding. She could all of a sudden play this angle aggressively, this angle aggressively, this angle aggressively, this angle aggressively. And if you are a Jett player, what you should be doing to counteract even that, I know there's layers here, but you should be doing the musical chair opping that I talk about, where you just mix up where you're holding, but you should also be mixing up aggressive and defensive opping, and let me explain what I mean. So these type of opping where you push up here and you snipe this way, that would be a very aggressive. That would be a very aggressive take on sniping with Jett, but it's not going to work every time, because if enemies are ready for it, they could cut you out, right? Someone could just be playing here and swing you very easily. They could swing that corner even if you're pushing all the way into cubby. They could swing you, they could kill you, they could force your tailwind out. Whatever they have to, they can easily get you out of there. But you don't always have to be playing aggressive. You can mix it up with an aggressive shower peek, and then all of a sudden you're playing defensively in heaven. And then you mix it up with an aggressive short A peek, peeking that way, and then all of a sudden you're just playing back here. You basically get to set the pace and constantly switch it up so that enemies can never predict you. And I really think, like I said, that this strategy, if it's used to the maximum effectiveness, can feel absolutely overpowered without an entire team of team play. And that's why I think it can even be a more powerful strategy in ranked, much less pro play, but at least at the pro level, you have an entire team that can use tons of utility to basically punish. They can use utility here, use it that way, then they can use it this way, then they can use it this way and this way. I mean, they just have to use a lot of utility, but if it doesn't get you sniped in the face or sniped in the body, then it's usually worth it. But I just want you to understand why the strategy is so powerful, and I definitely want to hear your insight in the comments down below. Do you think that this deserves a nerf? What are some of the things that you think should happen to make sure that this doesn't happen, or do you think it's fine? What would you suggest to do in the comments down below? I'm interested to learn your insight. I've heard suggestions all over the place, like maybe we need an operator nerf or a Jett nerf. Maybe Jett can only dash where she's facing. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that this strategy is being used at every rank and in pro play, and it's incredibly powerful. So you need to be either aware of it, or you need to start embracing it and using it and abusing Jett to get that free rank up. Now, I know I briefly mentioned some of the counters to this strategy, but I'm going to tell you some things that you absolutely have to do in every single one of your games if you don't want to get dominated by this strategy over and over again. Now, the first thing that you need to master is jiggle peeking. You have to master jiggle peeking. Knife out jiggle peeking where you're just barely peeking. You don't really even have to peek the enemy with your eyes. You can peek them instead with your minimap. But oftentimes, if you can get that Jett to give away her aggressive position, then she will invest a tailwind. And if you can trade a jiggle peek for a tailwind, then you're going to get a lot of value just by that. You don't have to waste all this utility. You're not going to lose a life. The Jett's not going to be able to play aggressive anymore. So those zones that we talked about, those aggressive potential zones on bind, and there's a whole bunch of other ones. Just imagine where a Jett could potentially be and get out. Those are areas that you have to jiggle peek as well. You could do the silent step jiggle peek that we went over many times on this channel, but it's a way to force that tailwind out early. And if you could get that tailwind out early, then that is one of your golden tickets to dominate the strategy. Now, there are some characters as well that are really good at shutting this down. A character, for instance, like Breach, with all of his utility, you can afford to trade tons of utility just on the chance that a Jett is playing aggressive. If you have to use a flash right in a mid on that bind map when you're pushing up, you do not have to peek out an aggressive angle peek. And the most important thing that you need to do or understand is where a Jett could possibly be if she sprinted out with her knife or walked out with her knife. Where could she be set up? What aggressive angles could she possibly take if she just pushed up and didn't care about her positioning, because she has a positioning get out of jail free card? And if you have to, invest abilities early, because I promise you, investing abilities, especially when you have so many like Breach, investing an ability at the chance of wasting it is far better than not investing any abilities and getting sniped in the freaking face, okay? I promise you. So these are just two things that I could definitely tell you to do to give you the best shot at dominating the strategy. But of course, I would highly suggest that you do this yourself. Get a Jett player on your team, do this strategy, because it's probably not going to be around forever. I'm pretty sure about that one. It seems a little bit too overpowered, but like I said, definitely let me know your opinion of this entire strategy in the comments down below. But on the GameLeap website, our nutty in-house Radiant Jett main, Tanner, has done an in-depth VOD review breakdown of exactly what he does in his Radiant tier games to abuse Jett to the maximum effectiveness. So look no further than the GameLeap website and the links down below to be well on your way to dominating this act and climb with ease. But of course, that's all we got for you today. Smash that like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Go check out Tanner's stream. Thanks so much for coming by. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time.